Hello and welcome. Tonight, Senate moves to probe $2 trillion subsidy. The Minister of Power says would be required to avoid a repeat of the fuel subsidy scenario. Lawmakers to also investigate a failed agreement on local production of prepaid meters. Former Head of State General Yakubu Gowon urges Nigerians to give the president time to address the challenges facing the country during his visit to the State House, his first since the president's inauguration. And operatives of the DSS and police arrested chairman of the Labour Party group, Julius Abure, alongside 5 other party members in the Edo State capital, alleged attempted murder and other offences.
On Business News tonight, federal government announces plans to resume direct cash transfers to 15 million households as high cost of living bites harder.
On Sports News tonight, German Bundesliga champion Bayern Munich have announced that coach Thomas Tuchel will leave the club at the end of the season as a battle to retain their title.
And from Abuja, the House of Representatives asked the Council of Legal Education to suspend the 60% increment in the fees of the Nigerian Law School. It says cost of living in the country is currently too high to warrant the hike.
And in international news from London, China has sharply criticised the US for vetoing a UN Security Council resolution demanding an immediate ceasefire in Gaza.
A failed agreement that would have seen local manufacturers produce prepaid electricity meters that will have been distributed across the nation has become the subject of another probe by the Senate. Also to be investigated by the lawmakers is a $2 trillion subsidy, which the Minister of Power says will be required to avoid a repeat of the fuel subsidy scenario still bedeviling the nation's economy. These resolutions were part of a motion of public importance today by the senator representing Adamawa Central, Senator Aminu Abbas. Our National Assembly correspondent, Gloria Omezoke, reports.
Senators on the second plenary for the week took major steps towards debating the planned hike in electricity tariff and arbitrary billing of unmetered customers.
And so he's petitioning this.
The lawmakers argue that the idea, which has spiked fresh agitations among many Nigerians, should be jettisoned.
Why should people be paying for what they did not use? They give people estimated bills. That is where we should focus, and focus on generation and transmission, not increasing the tariffs.
Removal of any subsidy, not to talk of electricity subsidy, will be more than adding petrol to fire.
Many organizations and companies are relocating from Nigeria simply because they don't have energy to drive their organizations.
There were more arguments in favor of the motion before the resolutions were adopted.
Our output now is about 3.5 megawatt. If we are here now, we're expressing blackout. You cannot be dishing out blackout and at the same time be asking people to pay more. I want to use this medium to call on the power holding companies across the nation to keep to their promises of giving Nigerians prepaid meters. They should stop this idea of estimated bills.
Call on the federal government of Nigeria to stand down the increase in electricity, the idea of increase in electricity tariff, under the Committee on Power to investigate the over 2 trillion naira subsidy requirements as stated by the Minister of Power to avoid the repeat of fuel subsidy scenario. Those who are in support of the amended prayer say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have.
By the same token, some lawmakers appealed to the Senate to intervene in the hike in the price of cement.
Key building materials, particularly cement and iron rod prices, are now sold at prohibitive rates, with cement and iron rod recently rising from 5,500 per bag in January 2024 to about 15,000 and 8,500 to 17,000 respectively.
Continuing with the business of the day, the bill for an act to establish the Southeast Development Commission passed second reading.
Many things were destroyed during the Civil War, Mr. President. This Southeast Development Commission will be very useful in addressing the infrastructural deficits in the southeast of Nigeria.
The bill to establish development commissions in other regions, including the Southwest and North Central, equally passed second reading.
The ayes have it. Accordingly.
Meanwhile, the Senate confirmed the appointment of Dr. Kelechi Ohiri as Director General of the National Health Insurance Authority, as well as 19 appointments to the National Population Commission. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
In the meantime, the chief whip of the Senate, Ali Ndume, is advocating the introduction of food stamps or vouchers to solve the apparent food crisis facing Nigerians. Senator Ndume says the initiative will ensure that low-income or non-income earning citizens will not go hungry. He was speaking on our political program, Politics Today.
Food stamp is a coupon that is issued to low-income or no-income citizens of America.
In exchange for food.
In exchange for food. And it has been working. So if a country like America can use food stamp, then I don't see any reason why Nigeria at this critical time should not do that. This idea of food stamp is something that the federal government should look at seriously and come up with a way. Because for me, I prefer the use of food stamp than this conditional cash transfer they are making. Because you give somebody money, instead of him to go and buy food, you go and buy certain things. But the good thing about food program is there are specified food items that you can use that coupon for. That means the money or the coupon will go for your basics, gari, rice, yam, or something like that. But if you give somebody cash, you will not be there to supervise what he does with the cash. So that food stamp is a way to go. And the way or the modalities is something that you have experts, especially non-governmental agencies are there to advise government how to go about it. And I think that is the best way to go.
In other stories, the immediate past governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, is demanding the sum of 1 billion naira as damages from the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, over an alleged defamatory remark. Now, the President of the Senate had stated at an event in Rivers State that the allegations against Mr. Emefiele are so numerous that the federal government does not know which charges to pin on him. The President of the Senate also blamed the economic hardship in the country on the policies of the former CBN governor. In a letter dated February the 19th, counsel to Mr. Godwin Emefiele, Matthew Burka, said if Senator Akpabio fails to pay the sum being demanded and tender an apology, then the former CBN governor will seek appropriate redress. Former head of state General Yakubu Gowon is asking Nigerians to give the president time, saying he believes the administration is doing its best to address the various problems facing the country. He was speaking at the State House after a meeting with President Bola Tinubu in what he said is their very first meeting since the president's inauguration. The former head of state said they also discussed some of President Tinubu's plans to resolve some of the issues confronting the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, of which he is a founding father.
Being the surviving leader or founding fathers of the ECOWAS, I think we had to discuss some of his plan in order to see what can be done to bring the matter under control. So this is what has brought me here, and we had a very interesting meeting. The government is trying their best to deal with the various problems of the country, but with Nigerians, don't you worry, you can get criticized. I think people out there, they know better than what you know there. But I think all that one can say is that we've got to Nigerians have to give the president time to get things really done, and it is too early to sort of say yes, that absolute result, perfect result, would be achieved now. So that is my opinion. At least I know. I think if I remembered, I was told that I was fighting the war. I was too slow, and probably Nigeria cannot make it, and that we should not seek for discussion. Well, did we do it or not? They probably do not know the problem in there on the ground.
To Edo State now, where the national chairman of the Labour Party, Julius Abure, has been arrested in Benin City, the Edo State capital. Mr. Abure was said to have gone for a scheduled security briefing with the Department of State Service, but was arrested alongside 5 other party members after the meeting by DSS operatives and police officers. Police spokesperson of the Zone 5 headquarters, Tijani Momo, explained that the arrest followed a written petition alleging attempted murder, conspiracy, grievous harm, and other related offences. He denied reports that Mr. Abure was assaulted in the course of his arrest, adding that his supporters had sought to prevent his arrest, and this led to Mr. Abure being told to sit on the ground. Meanwhile, the National Secretary of the party, Mr. Umar Farouk, who was seen at the Zone 5 headquarters, stated that he and some other top members of the party came in from Abuja following the arrest of their chairman.
I wish to confirm the arrest of the factional chairman of the Labour Party of Nigeria, Mr. Julius Abure, and I think 3 or 4 others. This has to do with a written petition that was endorsed to the AIG Zone 5 Benin from the Office of the Inspector General of Police in the case of attempted murder, conspiracy, grievous harm, and I think some other related offences. So based on that petition, he was arrested, and the investigation is ongoing. He was just arrested today. Investigation is ongoing. I think we also recovered some, they were also in possession of a firearm, I think a shotgun, and 3 rounds of live ammunition. So investigation is ongoing. He was just arrested today. So more details will be provided as investigation continues. Cannot beat the factional chairman. Yeah, that video clip is not true.
I've just arrived from Abuja, and when I came in, I learned that our national chairman has been arrested, and as such as we came to the post headquarters to find out the reason for his arrest, and we are waiting to get clearance. I'm here alongside with some distinguished senators and some of my colleagues that are here, the NWC members. As soon as we get information, I will call the press to brief them the reason why our chairman is being arrested.
In part 2, after the break, DSS urges members of the organized labor to shelve their planned nationwide protest, claims intelligence report shows plan by some persons to foment crisis and widespread violence. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the News at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Senate moves to probe 2 trillion naira subsidy. Now, the Minister of Power says would be required to avoid a repeat of the fuel subsidy scenario. Lawmakers to also investigate a failed agreement on local production of prepaid meters. Former Head of State General Yakubu Gowon urges Nigerians to give the president time to address the challenges facing the country during his visit to the State House, his first since the president's inauguration. Operatives of the DSS and police arrest the chairman of the Labour Party, Julius Abure, alongside 5 other party members in the state capital, allege attempted murder and other offences. And China has sharply criticized the U.S. for vetoing a UN Security Council resolution demanding an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The All Progressives Congress has declared inconclusive the primary election held by the party in Edo State last Saturday. The National Publicity Secretary of the party, Mr. Felix Morka, made this known in a statement last night, adding that a new primary will be held tomorrow to determine its flag bearer for the September 2024 governorship election in the state. Meanwhile, the president has directed that the contest be thrown open for all aspirants and ruled out any zoning arrangement. Former governor of Edo State and senator representing Edo North, Adams Oshomole, stated this during an interview with State House correspondents after meeting with the president at the presidential villa in Abuja.
There have been rumors in the air that there's probably zoning to one area or zoning to another area. The president said, as far as it's concerned, is committed only to free and fair primaries, not based on zoning. Because you don't do zoning at the eve of a primary. If they're going to be zoning, those involved in the decision, we have to be so comprehensive that the people of the state, understand it. Number two, if you are zoning, you will not allow people who are not from the particular zone to procure forms. Now, the National Secretariat of the party is on record as having issued a statement which was widely used to the effect that the APC governorship ticket was open to anyone who is eligible to procure the nomination form, which was why at the end of the day, we have 12 candidates that procured the form. So the key issue in my conversation with Mr. President is that the primaries that had been rescheduled for tomorrow to continue is not based on, and will not be based on zoning. It will be based on free and fair primaries. I am not a product of zoning. I am not a believer in turn-by-turn democracy. I believe Nigeria will do better when it puts its best foot forward. But the important thing is that I have the authority of the president, and you can cross-check. I told him, can I announce what I discussed, namely whether or not tomorrow's run-up election is based on zoning? And he said, no zoning. It's merit and fairness.
And the DSS is asking members of the organized labor to shelve their planned protests fixed for February the 27th and 28th this year in parts of the country over sundry economic issues. Now, the DSS, in a statement by its spokesperson, Mr. Peter Afunaya, explains that the service recognizes the planned protest as the legitimate right of the labor movement, but urges the body to shelve the plan in the interest of peace and public order. The DSS further calls on parties to pursue dialogue and negotiation rather than engaging in conduct that could heighten tensions. The DSS notes that the call has become imperative due to intelligence report that some elements are planning to use the opportunity of the protest to foment crisis and widespread violence capable of worsening the socio-economic situation across the country. We'll definitely have Labour's reaction to that from the DSS. Now, in Niger State, the organized labor has embarked on an indefinite industrial action shutting down government offices and health facilities in the state. The action is in protest of what the workers described as a violation of civil service laws following the state government's appointment of politicians as executive directors into government parastatals in the state. The Niger State Governor, Umar Bago, had earlier appointed several persons to assume duty as executive directors of finance, administration and operations, as well as chairmen, members and permanent commissioners of the Local Government Service Commission, among others. In a statement through the secretary to the state government, Abubakar Usman, the state government said a meeting was held yesterday with Labour to avert the strike, but then Labour denied holding a meeting with any government representative. So let's head to the nation's capital now, where Victoria Longjohn is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Victoria.
Hello, Ayo. Now let's head to the National Assembly once more, where the House of Representatives is asking the Council of Legal Education to suspend the increment in the fees of the Nigerian Law School The House, through a motion sponsored by 4 lawmakers, is concerned that in exercising its functions, the Council of Legal Education has approved a 60% increase in the fees at a time the country is facing a 27.3% inflation rate. Our correspondent Terry Ikumi reports.
24 hours after the Deputy Speaker's speech on the rising cost of living in the country, which has led to protests, lawmakers in the House of Representatives are raising alarm over the increase in the cost of fees by the Nigerian Law School.
Support the motion.
In a motion sponsored by 4 lawmakers, the House is worried that increasing fees at a time as this would be unfair to Nigerians.
The House resolves to urge the Council of Legal Education to put the Nigerian Law School fees increment in abeyance and mandate the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services to explore solutions to the issue at hand and report back in 2 weeks.
The House asks that the increment be put on hold pending the outcome of its investigation.
Standing in the name of Honorable.
Similarly, the House is to investigate the issues and lapses encountered by Nigerians in registering their national identification numbers.
The House observes that Nigeria faced arduous experience during registration, despite various enrollment options and service centers, with most Nigerians yet to collect their NIM cards despite successful registration. Cognizant that NIM is the foundational ecosystem of identifying Nigerians, and its functional identification purpose will be defeated if all Nigerians cannot access their unique national identification number.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives is calling for measures to improve the impact of insecurity in Nasarawa State.
The House notes that the Wamba-Shandan-Lantanwasi Road is a major transportation route connecting communities in Nasarawa and Plateau State. It provides a reliable transportation connectivity, allowing ease of traveling for education, healthcare, order please, and other essential activities, and reduce security challenges.
The House further mandated committees on appropriations and works to make budgetary provision for the road construction in the 2025 budget estimates. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
And EFCC operatives today raided currency dealers in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, resulting in the arrest of some persons. It was gathered that the EFCC was supported by other security agents during the raid. The chairman of the Bureau de Change operators in Sabo, in the Oyo State capital, told Channels Television that he could not say if any of his members were amongst those arrested. A similar raid is also said to have been conducted in Enugu State by the Anti-Corruption Agency. Meanwhile, Bureau de Change operators in Abuja have been reacting to the latest raid on currency dealers by officials of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, describing it as a welcome development. The chairman of the operators in the Wuse Zone 4 area of the nation's capital says the association is ready to work with the government's task force to stabilize the foreign exchange market. The federal government has set up a task team led by the EFCC to clamp down on dollar racketeers in the country.
Port area in Abuja is a hub of currency trading as it houses several Bureau de Change offices where customers and traders buy and sell foreign currencies. The area is dominated by these roadside currency traders, popularly called black marketers. Many of them often work for the Bureau de Change operators who are licensed by the Central Bank of Nigeria. The licensed operators also have their offices in the same area. Earlier in the week, officials of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, raided the area, leading to a clash as well as the arrest of some people. A few days after the raid, some of the traders are back on the road looking for customers. Although the EFCC is yet to comment on Monday's operations, a statement from the Commission says in part, the EFCC has raised a special task force in all its zonal commands for the enforcement of extant laws against currency mutilation and dollarization of the economy. A similar statement from the Office of the National Security Advisor confirms efforts by the federal government to clamp down on currency racketeering. The statement says, in a concerted effort to safeguard Nigeria's foreign exchange market and combat speculative activities, the Office of the National Security Advisor, ONSA, and the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, are joining forces to address challenges impacting the nation's economic stability.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
However, federal lawmakers believe the approach is not proper.
On the foreign exchange, when I saw the video of what happened yesterday at Zone 4, I laughed and I cried at the same time. I laughed because in 21st century, a great country like Nigeria should not embark on such a thing.
Nevertheless, the Bureau de Change operators in the area welcome the actions of the government.
As a registered and licensed operators of BDCs, we have our own saboteurs. They might come and we might not know, and maybe they are the ones that are making all these speculations. So we have our own speculators here that are making things very difficult for us. So we've been looking for this opportunity. So for us now, like I said, it's a welcome development. For the people outside the market, we are advising them that they should please, because these dollars, there is no way it will be going up again. There is no way. We will try our best. We will try our best. We will help the government and we will help all the people in Nigeria to see we bring it down honestly.
A financial expert, Mr. Paul Alaje, thinks the government can explore better options to tackle the current foreign exchange challenges.
The central bank must urgently issue a circular that all operators, whether on the streets, in the room, in the bank, in an office, all dollar transactions must be digitalized. We will know if truly subnational are invading the market, because it will be practically impossible for you to do anything. That's one. We will now know if round tripping is going on or not.
The Nigeria currency has been on a free fall against the dollar and other foreign currencies, and the government is determined to stop the slide, especially because of the impact on the prices of goods and services.
And still ahead on the news at 10, federal government announces plan to resume direct cash transfers to 15 million households as cost of living bites harder. That's some business news. So join us again. Welcome back to the news at 10. And still in the nation's capital, the Minister of the Federal Territory, Mr. Yeke, has approved the construction of the Gwagwa-Karimo Road in the Abuja Municipal Area Council. Mr. Wike announced the approval during the flag-off ceremony of the construction of access roads to Saburi community after listening to the plights of the residents of the area. Our correspondent Kumbi Abuluwade reports.
This flag-off ceremony of the construction of Saburi Community Road marks the sixth and final phase in the first series of rural roads and satellite towns road construction in the Federal Capital Territory under the present administration. This project is expected to link the Outer Northern Expressway to the Old Kefi Road, close to the popular Day-Day International Market. It covers a total distance of 5 kilometers.
Today is the flag off of the construction of a 5-kilometer temporary access road to Saburi 1 and 2 communities. The scope of works consists of construction of 5-kilometer asphalt concrete finish road on 8-meter carriageway.
Though delighted with the Saburi Road construction project, the chairman speaks on other challenges facing residents of the area.
Sir, even if you will not do anything again, please, sir, this is our humble request on this Gwagwa-Karimo Day Road. Sir, we are pleading under your watch to say that the above named road is in very, very bad shape. The road is narrow and it requires expansion for the road users. What's the flag?
Responding to their plights, the minister approved the construction of the Gwagwa-Karimo Road. He also clamors for support from the National Assembly to drive more development in the FCT.
When the chairman was speaking, it was like trying to shed tears. But I do know, as a politician,
he will say it in such a way that he will get sympathy. So he has said, Karibu, Gwagwa, Dede, and Idu, that road is very, very important to you. You know what he said? Are you in agreement with him? Consider it to be done.
He is pledging that under his administration, more roads in rural areas and satellite towns will be constructed. From the nation's capital, Kumbi Aboluwade, Channels Television News.
And that's it from Abuja. It's now back to you, Ayo, for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you so much, Victoria. Amidst the current economic crisis in the country, financial experts, lawmakers and captains of industry are looking at the best way to navigate the country out of the woods. For many of them, the nation is endowed with too much resources or several resources to be in its current state of economic downturn. Now, the role of lawmakers in reversing the situation is equally important, and all these issues formed the discourse at Ikogosi in Ekiti at a one-day Ekiti House of Assembly retreat.
It's a one-day retreat for Ekiti State House of Assembly lawmakers, and the focus is on empowering the state and the Southwest on how to secure foreign direct investments. In attendance are some assembly speakers from across the Southwest and other lawmakers in Nigeria. The U.S. consulate team are well represented, as well as captains of industries. The organizers believe that government needs to make its commitment clear by accommodating investors' interests.
If we are to transform our state, the government, first and foremost, must set the tone. It is your level of commitment through words and actions that will encourage or discourage the private sector and foreign direct investment.
One of the big challenges is government's policy shift, and this has not encouraged investments. And the U.S. Consulate General highlights the need for governments in Nigeria to step up on ICT and ensure an investor-friendly environment.
It's on you as governors and in the states to get it from the ports to your citizens. Because I can tell you, I have blazing fast internet in Lagos, not so much in other parts of the country, because you have to build that infrastructure and provide the right-of-way access through each of the states in a way that is developmental, right? You have to think about internet as development.
For those attending the retreat, it's an eye-opener, as it will help them engage in meaningful debates as lawmakers and initiate laws that will guarantee investments, both domestic and foreign.
This critical gathering reflects our commitment to exploring innovative ways to bolster Ekiti State's development through strategic partnerships and legislative frameworks.
Other speakers say that Nigeria could do more by leveraging on domestic resources available in the country and effectively channeling same towards growing the nation's economy.
I can only say that one critical success factor is the political environment. And political environment encapsulates everything, including security, that is a concern for us.
What I'm telling you to do is to make the best out of the bad situation. And I can advise that members of House Assembly, you should see yourself as the representative of the people, and you are accountable to your people. The moment you think about that, and not about yourself, because I know that when I was in government, they will come in, Honorable Commissioner, you are bringing this in. So what is the need for us? How do we get this? You must stop that. See, we must imbibe the level of integrity.
It may be a difficult period for Nigeria, but the consensus here is that with the right policies in place, the country may begin to refocus its priorities and re-engineer a new process that will engender an economic growth and guarantee stability for the nation.
Now, Organized Neighbor has reacted to what it describes as the unsolicited advice of the DSS for it to shelve its planned protest against the unprecedented high cost of living in spite of the indescribable pain and suffering being experienced in the country and spiraling inflation, deepening poverty, and of course the falling value of the Nigerian. While the president of the NLC, Joe Ajaero, in a statement says it is disturbed by the new role the service has assigned to itself as the chief spokesperson of the government. According to the NLC president, organized labor is equally worried that although the service, that's the DSS, is aware that some elements are planning to use the opportunity of the protest to foment crisis and by extension widespread violence, yet it has not executed the arrest of these elements. Mr. Ajaero, or Comrade Ajaero, adds that organized labor will not have itself blackmailed or lied against by the DSS. The President has approved the appointment of Deputy Controller General of Immigration, Kemi Nandap, as the Controller General of the service effective from March the 1st this year. In a statement signed by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, Nandap takes over from Mrs. Caroline Wuraola Adepoju, whose term in office expires on February the 29th. Before her appointment as Controller General, the DCG Nandap oversaw the Migration Directorate of the service. It's now time for some business news with Joker Rogers. Joker?
Thanks, Ayatunde. Welcome to Business News. In response to the growing economic challenges faced by millions of Nigerians, the federal government has announced plans to restart direct cash transfers to the poorest and most vulnerable citizens. Currently, about 3 million people are beneficiaries of these programs, but due to the escalating cost of living, the government anticipates that an additional 12 million households could qualify for these direct payments. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, made the announcements during the ministry's retreat held in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State.
In the meantime, everything is being done to ease the pain. We have prepared to go to Mr. President with an interim recommendation to restart the direct payments to the poorest and the most vulnerable. The only thing delaying that is not waiting for the end of the report. It is something that the intervention is meant to happen immediately. That was a recommendation of the panel, but it's subject. And you know, on that panel, we have experts in technology, we have the Honorable Minister for Innovation, Communications, and Digital Economy, as well as others. And the commitment was to make sure that we use technology to ensure that we have a seamless payment, a seamless movement between the register and the direct beneficiary without any manual processes in between. So it's taken time to automate that process. Immediately it's done, that direct payment will resume. And of course, we know that there have been about 3 million beneficiaries now. But given the way the rates have gone, there are probably another 12 million people, households can benefit from that payment.
Meanwhile, the United Nations World Food Programme, the WFP, says it's reviewing its local food procurement strategy and will only purchase food in Nigeria when prices become stable. According to the WFP's country director and representative in the country, David Stevenson, the decision comes as skyrocketing inflation in food prices posed greater stress on displaced population who are unable to farm. Mr. Stevenson also condemns reports of traders falsely attributing their goods to the WFP, reiterating that the organization's resources are dedicated exclusively to aiding the most marginalized communities. Multi-billionaire and Amazon founder Jeff Bezos has sold an additional 14 million Amazon shares worth about $2.4 billion. The latest sale brings the total number of shares he has sold in the firm over the last 9 trading days to about 50 million, valued at $8.5 billion. The tech giant had previously announced that Mr. Bezos would sell up to 50 million shares by the end of January 2025. The domestic equities market made a slight rebound in today's trading session, halting 2 days of deep losses as investors engage in bargain hunting. Willie Bong tells us more.
Thanks, Joke, and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Finally, some good news. We saw a bit of positive movement for the all-share index today, which climbed by 1/3%, still at 101,000 level, but that gave the benchmark index a bit of a breather from all the sell-offs. Call it profit-taking or portfolio rebalancing that's been going on at the NGX. We don't have to look too far away. Investors are beginning to look again at the banking sector. 2 out of the fugaz, that's FBN Holdings and UBA, climbed today. They saw a rebound, and that was enough to rescue the market out of the Red Sea. We see all of that positivity rubbing off on the banking sector. It was up 0.31%. We also see oil and gas climbing up today, and that's because of Eterna. But Okomu Oil, that's the oil palm giant company, dragged the consumer goods sector down. And there we have it, Okomu leading the top losers, the top 3 losers for today, down with a 10% loss to close at 243 Naira. It's good news, like I said earlier, but the NGX is not totally out of the woods yet, as the market correction is still on course. But the bull still has its day. Will Ibon signing out.
That's Business News Tonight. I turn it back to you.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Many thanks, Joker. The United States is rejecting the UN Security Council draft resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. The resolution received 13 votes, with the US being the sole country which voted against the Algerian draft resolution. Britain was the only country that abstained from voting. Well, here's Simon Pusey with other international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. China has sharply criticized the US for vetoing a UN Security Council resolution demanding an immediate ceasefire in Gaza.
China expresses its strong disappointment.
China's UN ambassador Zhang Jun said the move sent the wrong message and effectively gave a green light to the continued slaughter. The White House said the Algerian proposed resolution would jeopardize talks to end the war. The US has proposed its own temporary ceasefire resolution, which also warned Israel not to invade the city of Rafah. The resolution was backed by 13 of the 15 members of the UN Security Council, with the UK abstaining. President Joe Biden has said that the US will announce a major package of sanctions against Russia on Friday.
We'll have a major package announced on Friday.
Officials said the package was intended to hold Russia accountable over the death of Putin critic Alexei Navalny and the 2-year Ukraine war. Navalny's allies believe he was murdered on the orders of President Vladimir Putin. Prison authorities say he suffered sudden death syndrome. 2 men have been charged with murder for last week's deadly shooting at the Super Bowl victory parade in Kansas City. A woman died and 22 others were injured during the shooting, which police said stemmed from the 2 men arguing. The charged men, identified as Dominic Miller and Lyndall Mays, were both shot and wounded during the incident. The prosecutor said at a press conference that the 2 men had been charged with second-degree murder, 2 counts of armed criminal action, and unlawful use of a weapon.
Defendant Mays was in a verbal argument with another individual. And the evidence does not reflect in these early moments that there was any prior history between these individuals, Mays and the individual he was in some kind of verbal dispute with. There was no connection to each other, those 2 individuals. Now, that argument very quickly escalated to Mays drawing his firearm, a handgun. Mays pulled his handgun first. Almost immediately, others pulled their firearms. Defendant Miller was one of those individuals. While both adults are charged with murder, the evidence tells us that it was Mr. Miller's firearm. Mr. Miller's firearm struck Lisa Lopez Galvin.
Republican candidate Nikki Haley has pledged to press ahead with her long-shot presidential bid, saying she had no intention of dropping out after Saturday's nominating contest in South Carolina. Difficult polls in her home state, on top of 3 consecutive losses to Mr. Trump, have fueled speculation that Ms. Haley may drop out of the race soon, but she's pledged to at least finish the 16 races on Super Tuesday on the 5th of March.
Well, I hear what the political class says, but I hear from the American people, too. That's why I refuse to quit. South Carolina will vote on Saturday, but on Sunday, I'll still be running for president. I'm not going anywhere.
Police in India have fired tear gas on protesting farmers who have resumed their march on the capital Delhi after 4 rounds of talks with the federal government failed to end the deadlock. The farmers, who are demanding assured prices for their crops, say they are prepared with months of supplies. Delhi's borders have been fortified with several layers of barricades and barbed wire to stop their entry, but protesters have warned they would use heavy machinery to push through. Beef production by 3 of the world's biggest meat packers has been linked to illegal deforestation in Brazil's Cerrado, according to campaigners. The savanna hosts 5% of Earth's species and is a buffer against global warming. In one part of the Cerrado, nearly half of the farms supplying the companies had cut down trees. The companies, JBS, Minerva and Marfrig, said they had acted in line with local law. And a pioneering European satellite is due to fall to Earth. These telescopic photos show the ERS-2, which is falling by more than 10 kilometers per day. It was a cutting-edge observation platform when it launched in 1995, forging technologies that are now used routinely to monitor the planet. It's been gradually descending since ending operations in 2011 and will take an uncontrolled fiery plunge into the atmosphere today. The European Space Agency says most of the 2-ton satellite will burn up on the way down. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. 22 goals were scored on match day 9 of the Nigerian Women Football League, with a match between Danas FC and Confluence Queens producing 6 goals. Nasarawa Masons were the biggest winners, humbling Niger Rattles 5-0. Adamawa urged Abia Angels 2-1, while Delta Queens defeated Ekiti Queens with same score line. In other results, Rivers Angels got a 2-0 win over Remo Stars Ladies, with Bayelsa Queens also emerging the victors against Sunshine Queens with same scoreline, while Heartland and Royal Queens match ended goalless. And German champions Bayern Munich have announced that coach Thomas Tuchel will leave the club at the end of the season as they struggle to stay in the Bundesliga title race. Tuchel, whose contract was set to run through to 2025, would exit the club on June 30 this year. His preemptive dismissal comes after 3 straight defeats, including a 3-0 loss to league rivals Bayern Leverkusen. And U.S. Attorney Damian Williams has confirmed that a Texas therapist has been sentenced to 3 months in prison after pleading guilty to supplying performance-enhancing drugs to Olympic athletes, including Nigerian sprinter Blessing Okagbare. Eric Lira, a naturopathic therapist based in the city of El Paso, became the first individual to be convicted under a U.S. law introduced in the wake of Russia's state-backed Olympic doping scandals. And former world number one Andy Murray has suffered another setback with a marathon loss to Czech's teenager Jakub Meček in the Qatar Open second round. Murray ended a 6-match losing streak in the opening round on Tuesday, but was edged out after almost 3.5 hours on court and 3 tie breaks, losing 7-6, 6-7, 7-6. The world number 116 served 12 aces past Murray, who missed 2 sets points in the first tie break. That's sports. As back to you, Ayo.
Many thanks, Chris. And the main news again. The Senate today resolves to probe 2 trillion naira subsidy the Minister of Power says will be required to avoid a repeat of the fuel subsidy scenario. Lawmakers are also to investigate a failed agreement on local production of prepaid meters. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Olugun. You have a good night and please stay safe.